Sweet. Okay. All right, go easy on me. This is my first time doing this, so. But hi, I'm Stina with the Punny Pot, and I wanted to try this out instead of just showing you guys what I usually do, which is like a before and after. So I'm going to try and keep it simple. I'm going to try and keep it really quick. But I have some supplies already laid out here. So let's get going. I want to try 3 different styles of the gift tags using an acrylic tag, a wood tag, and these are always really cute and handy, so we'll give it a disc a spin. Then they all come pre-drilled, pre-made. I got these at Michael's. Pretty sure these probably came from Michael's too, so random things that I grabbed. But we'll give it a go, and if I have anybody on, let me know how the sound is, because I don't have my mic. So I'm trying to gauge it. I'll try and watch the chat as much as I can, but welcome. Let's get down to some gift tags. So usually when I design and I do stuff, I use my Cricut. I have the Cricut Maker 3. I'm trying to remember when I got it. 2022. Didn't really know what to do with it because there were so many different projects to even do. So I actually just picked one, and I started with the vinyl. I just started with permanent vinyl. Did some projects like stuff like this, where I just like found random things around my house that I could just do random projects with and experiment. Because once you have the experience, you get a better idea of what the materials are going to be like and what the possibilities are. So bear with me, because I'm looking at my design space here to get these designs set up. I'm new to this, and I'm trying to get everything all set up, so I don't necessarily have the capacity to show you guys my screen right now. But if learning more about design space is something that you're interested in, and you think I'm a good teacher, let me know in the comments, and I can definitely make that happen. But it'd be probably more of a longer tutorial, so I can actually break it down, because it does take a little bit of some technical finesse. So I'm trying to get my designs up, because sometimes design space just isn't the best. Okay. One of the things too I wanted to show you is kind of a little trick that I do when I need like a custom cut size, because I don't necessarily have a specific cut size of this. So the actual dimensions of this and the size, you'd have to measure it out and get the angles, and that takes a lot of time. Sometimes with the acrylic, it can be a little bit harder, but really I try to put it down on like a solid surface. It helps if these are masked in something that's not opaque like this, but you want to put it on just a solid surface. And I just take a picture of it. If you have an app or something for free where you can remove the background, that's essentially what we're going for. When you take a picture, you really want to be like as straight above it as possible, because sometimes the angles can distort, the angles of the camera can distort the actual shape. And then I use Canva. I use it for school. I use it a lot for my business stuff. I use it a lot for personal things. So I definitely signed up for the Pro version, but I like that because in this circumstance, when I need a custom cut, really all I need to do now is just take that picture with that solid background and just remove the black or as much of that background, and hopefully it'll just leave the gray. I like to use Canva because it does have a tool for that, which is what I'm looking for right now. So I can actually just upload that quickly and then remove the background. And then now basically I could save it as an SVG or a PNG and give it straight into my design space to get it going. So I open up a design here. It's a neat trick because it saves you a lot of time from not having, and when you have geometric shapes like this that aren't necessarily like a perfect square or perfect circle, it definitely makes a difference when you need something like I want to match the exact size and dimensions of that, and you'll see as this project develops, hopefully. But as you guys are coming in and hanging out, tell me in the chat how your night's been going, how it's Friday. Finally glad it's been a week. We've been weathering really hard here. So we have lots of snow and very cold temperatures, which I just stay inside and craft. So, all right. My picture, removing my background, and then what I really want to do is save it essentially. I think I'll be able to show you. So, that's what I was going for. So the brown is what the background of the document is. It's possible to make this transparent, which is again what I'm going for, because I just want that shape of the actual gift tag. So when I go to download it, what I want to do is you can pick PNG or SVG if you want. I prefer PNGs. I work in PNGs more often in a lot of my graphic work. So I save it as a PNG. And then if you have the option, whatever app you're using, make sure when you're looking through the settings of the save, if there's an option for a transparent background, check that, toggle that. Because what that means is it's going to save the shape that it cut out, and then everything that it removed as the background will basically just be negative space, but it'll just be invisible. And when the Cricut goes to translate that, or the cutting machine, they can translate that PNG portion of that negative space. And then it's really helpful when you need custom cuts like this. So yeah, make sure you're aiming for something with PNG or SVG, because those two file types specifically can handle the transparent background. So definitely do that. If a lot of you like my t-shirt and are admiring my tee, I got it from a local shop over in Duluth. It's called the Sleepy Sparrow. So go check it out. Lots of cool nature-y types of designs. The t-shirts are super soft, comfy. I love this color. It's nothing. Okay, it says it's preparing, but I can already switch to another nice thing about having Canva is that I can just save it to the cloud and pull it up on my computer, which is what I'm doing because my phone's taking too long. So again, I'm going to basically download the gift tag image that I took of the acrylic, and then I'm going to download it as a PNG with a transparent background. And we're doing that because we want it to just cut the exact image of the shape. So basically we're making our own like cut file of this exact dimensions and angles without having to measure it. Took us less than a couple of minutes minus the interface and the user error. Again, it's my first time and I'm not used to this type of interaction. So, all right, select page, PNG, transparent background. We're ready to rock. Check, check, check. Okay, that's downloading. So now I can move into my Cricut design space, and I'm sure you guys are familiar enough with it, but I'm now able to go into my upload and then basically upload my image. And then when I get to that little drag file here, browse, I just go find my downloads file where that image is at. And again, like, because it's a picture, it's a PNG, you know, I could, if I wanted to, go into like a print and cut realm, but I don't need the texture of this. It's not that pretty. But what I can do, what I can do is when I'm there to convert the upload at that kind of like final stage before it's ready for your canvas, then I just want to pick the single layer option because that's what's going to make it that cut shape. And I can just put gift tag acrylic. That way I don't forget which particular tag it is. All right. I know you can't see this, but I'm looking straight at it. So the only catch to this, it's basically done. Like we did all of that custom cut size of this really quickly. But when it uploads, it's going to upload to whatever the resolution of the file is per the, whatever app you use to remove the background and save it to that PNG. So in this case, the resolution that Canva has it to, we'll upload it into Design Space at 9 inches by 13.6 inches. And we obviously need it smaller. So then the final thing I'll do is grab my handy dandy ruler and I will measure really kind of, you got your, so when it looks at height and width, because sometimes if you have organic images or like other things or particular unique cuts or silhouettes, the very, very top pixel and the very, very bottom pixel, that's your top, that's your bottom. And so that's what your height is going to be gauged off of in the actual measurements. And then for the width, it's the same thing. Your leftmost, your rightmost pixels of that design are going to be that whole shape. So that's why you might have something, like you might have an image like this that has all of this extra space, but the actual file size is going to follow those farthest out most pixels, and that's how it measures it. So realistically, I can pick any dimension, and I'm just going to pick the width, sorry, because it looks a little easier, but we'll see. I'll measure both sides of a piece just to see which one falls more cleanly, because sometimes everything's a little bit different. And it looks like it's 3 1/8 inches. If I want it to be kind of adaptive to the acrylic border. So we're going to go this direction, and it is 2 inches exactly. So then what I need to do in my Design Space folder or file, I want to go to my width because that is how this is looking here on the screen. And then I can just do sorry, operator error. 2.0. Make sure that your dimensions are locked. Okay, so now it sizes it to this exact size, and I have what I need. And there's one other special thing I'm going to do actually really quick. I love offset. I love using offset. It gives you a really just neat, creative, innovative feature. So that's when I'm setting up an offset on something for one of these. It's going to be kind of cute, I think. We'll see. All right. Okay, I have my cut designs. And then, sorry, because I kind of did this on the fly. I had a lot of crafty stuff going on. So this one I want to do with basically just permanent vinyl. So this is a great way to use scraps. I know a lot of people kind of are, sorry, I'm reaching for other things I'm going to need. I know other people tell you this or that about whether you should keep your scraps or not. It's up to you. It's your time. It's your money, essentially. How I store my scraps is I just get those containers, those scrapbook containers, and then I just stick a label on it. So these are all my HGV scraps. Anything that's bigger than like 1 inch by 1 inch, like if I was going to do something small or needed it for a little piece on some special pieces, I'll keep like, I think I got some of that pretty metallic. Like, so when I have like holographics, and fun metallics or puff, like if it's something that's big enough for me to do one little cut decal, then it's worth keeping, in my opinion. But it's up to you how you want to negotiate that, because you can easily do other projects out of this. So I do the same thing with the vinyl, and then I'll have a separate one for the actual, like, for the full rolls or full sheets. And so that's just my system. Hopefully, if you were looking for a system, then that might help. All right, I'm going to start with the acrylic one first, because we just did that custom measure. and let's get it rolling. Because I don't want to keep you too long. I don't know if I want to do this for a whole bunch. Just sit here with you. I want to sit here with you guys and hang out, but right now it's just me by myself. So I'll show you some gift tags and then we'll go from there. So you guys know mats. This is not the right mat for me to use for this right now. But if you have blue mats, those tend to be like, if you have universal mats, tend to be like the light grip. So that's good for your paper, like your really delicate materials. We're going to use standard for anything vinyl. This one's been used before. It's had much love. So it's a little loosey-goosey. Let's see what type of... Okay, so like this is my vinyl scraps. And then I'm just going to flip through it. I know one texture I really want to use. This is a metallic. I'm pretty sure it's Caesar. Will revisit this, and so I can put links and descriptions of everything because I wrote some down but didn't finish my full list. But this is like a brushed gold. You can kind of see it's a neat metallic color, but then it also has an extra texture. So I've been dying to use that. So why not? And then, sorry, I got to peek back over at my design space because I want to remember what color they picked. Okay. And then there's a matte red. This stuff, I love using this, and I should actually have enough for my projects. Oh, heck yeah. See, perfect use for these scraps. And then I want to challenge myself a little bit. We're going to use an actual texture pattern because those were one of the more challenging materials for me to use. And once you kind of figure out like some little niches to use this in, then like your whole kind of like crafty world like blows open, and then you really like almost kind of jones for using patterns. Then you'll be at this stage that I'm at where you're jonesing for patterns. That's a removable. Ooh. Instead of black, I'm going to use this oil slick vinyl. I'm feeling very colorful. All right. I think I need one more color. What was it? Oh, white. No, one of them's going to be a stencil. I have my gold black. Oh, no, I do need white. Bear with me while I'm looking for hopefully a white. Oh, this would be kind of cool though. Here's another fun. See, this is why I like keeping my scraps. But this is a really reflective metallic permanent vinyl. Let's throw that out there just in case we want to use it. Okay. Matte white. Simple, simple. Okay. The way that I do this is probably not the best way to do it, depending on how you like to organize things. But sometimes, especially if I have little pieces like these, I just change them all to one color, and then I'll specifically put them in places or corners. I'll usually just use the corners because when you're pulling something into those corners, it like has that hard stop. So at least you know when you're lying it on those corners, as long as it's not overlapping. I mean, might as well. And you don't necessarily have to change them all to the same color either. You can just I just load them up here. You'll see. I use my brayer a lot. I did not have one until around this time last year. I ended up buying one. It is very helpful, especially if you like to make stickers or you want to cover them in a like a waterproof. Gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a waterproof layer clear coat on stickers. So it helps keep the application of the paper and the sticker and whatever extra layers you're putting on top for waterproof or holographic or your special effects. It keeps them nice. It keeps them from getting too bubbly. It keeps it from getting, I'm trying to think of like a really good way to phrase it, but it keeps the tension. It keeps the roll smooth. It keeps everything like matched up so nicely. So once you kind of get the feel for it, it's like muscle memory, and then you just you make as many stickers. I mean, I don't make as many stickers as a lot of other folks, but I use it for my packaging or special things, journals, you know, decorating things. Everybody likes to decorate their Nalgene and their laptop. So, all right. So this is how I'm doing it for this cut round because I have my Cricut just right down here. I don't have enough space. I have tiny rooms. But like I said, I'm trying to keep this short. So even though I had some more planned, I'll at least show you how this one's going to go. And then watch for the before and afters of these guys because you got to see them now. But we'll do this one. It'll be quick and simple. I don't want to keep you guys too long. And I don't want to be sitting here awkward for too long. So this is how I'm setting it up to do these cuts. You will see the design here in just a moment. Let's see. I have to, sorry, I'm thinking about what I'm trying to do. What I want to do is get rid of the files I'm not cutting. And then what I just, because this one's a little simple, but I want to. Oh, that's going to be a different sheet. Okay. I'm in, but I'm trying to configure. I think that will actually look really nice. All right, what I'm trying to configure, I'll show you, is how I want this overlay to go because I have basically the gifty, and you'll see it here in a minute when I get it cut. But then I have the overlay around it. So it's, do I want gold with red around it, or do I want red with gold around it? Because this is going to be my pattern. Actually, I think we're going to do red and white because I don't like the lines in the plaid. I think it's a little bit over texture. We're just thinking out loud. One thing I am going to do before I actually commit to the cut of the special custom piece we did of this, just because I want to make sure it's going to be that perfect type of fit, I'm going to just reduce the size like a teeny bit on the width. Like we measured 2 straight, 2.0 straight inches on the width, but I'm going to do like 1.95 is what I mean by like reducing it really, really tiny. Oops. There we go. So that when we go to lay this down later, like you'll have just a clear border essentially, but it won't overlap too much. It's kind of my little trick. Do your test cuts. We all know, do your test cuts, please. But, all right. And then realistically, just for visual sake, it helps to change your colors over in Design Space to like what they're going to finally be, because that really does make a difference. But overall, you really can pick any color just as long as you have each color on each sheet. Okay. And then when I'm at the stage, and again, like I can do more tutorials where I show you the screen. And eventually when I upgrade and I grow, and that'll be the whole fun of this. But what I want to do is I'm looking at the like kind of pre-print. Like I just clicked print from my canvas and now I'm looking at like the whole layout. And so I'm just trying to compare it with what I'm going to put where with all of these vinyls. And at least it's nice to see this grid because then I can definitely see where this is all kind of coming out. Okay. Sweet. All right. Try again. It's telling me it can't connect to my Cricut. There we go. The nice thing about not making them all one color, if you do this trick, so be cautious, go slow, don't rush yourself. Obviously, each one of these is a different, well, they're all permanent vinyl, but this one here is like that matte metallic. So the thickness of it might be a little bit different than this matte white. Or you can definitely tell this glossy brushed gold is a little bit thicker than these two. So the benefit to this trick and then leaving them all different colors is that I can just change the cut each time. So for the white, which is up first, that one I'm just going to go with the pre-cut permanent glossy of the premium vinyl. And then I'm feeding it in. If some of you are watching and you do know me personally, you know I have 3 dogs and they're just passed out. I was hoping maybe they'd come in and maybe bark some directions at me because they've been real bossy lately, but nope, they're napping. All right, here we go. Let her rip, tater chip. So I'm just cutting the vinyl. And at this point, do your test cuts. I have extra scrap paper or material. So if it messes up, then I'll be able to just move it down and cut again and make my adjustments. So another benefit to working and keeping some scraps is it kind of gives you some of those throwaway pieces or experimental pieces so that you can really get more familiar with your machine. Again, I'm just using the Cricut Maker 3. I recently got a Juliet cutting machine by Caesar. I haven't gotten it out of the box and set it up yet. So that's actually going to be my next thing. So I'm checking and it actually looks pretty solid in the cut. So we're moving on. I think red was next. Nope, gold is next. So the gold, I'm still going to go with the premium vinyl permanent glossy, but we're going to do a trick on this one because I'm nervous it's not going to get a clean solid cut, especially if the material is a little bit thicker. That's how it calibrates, is the thickness of the actual material, and it's like very, very teeny and minute, microscopic almost, pretty much. So each pre-cut setting has like different pressure and things like that. So it's kind of gauged to be able to understand that. So it's loaded and it's firing its cuts. And then once it's, oh my gosh, you did not right now. Oh, Cricut. Now you see why. Yeah, now you see why I got the Juliet. Give me just a moment. It's okay. It just decided to just take a short buffer break, but okay, there it goes. It's cutting. Okay, so my goal for this overall live video to do this tutorial was to kind of keep it between the 30 to like 45 minutes. We're at the 30, so we're gonna do this one. We'll keep it short, and then we'll do more as this gets better. Okay, so it's finished its cut. The trick I was telling you is it's flashing the 2 arrows, the up and down arrows at me because it wants me to unload the mat because that is technically the next step. However, what I really want to do is I really want to make sure it's going to cut that shape out of that thicker vinyl. So I am going to test it really quick before I even unload it. And I'm just going to see how well the cuts have been made. Oh, and actually, I was worried for nothing. If I wanted to, I could just hit the play button one more time instead of the arrows. And what that's going to do while it's still loaded is it will trigger those cuts and put all those cuts back through. And the importance of doing it at that particular step is because if you don't, the cuts won't be exactly lined up the way that they should be, because the way that the computer reads it, it can be even just like a slight like fraction of a millimeter off. So if you hit play before you unload when your cut just finished, that's the best time to do it. That's the only time to do it. And then I do that for stickers a lot, because that way I don't have to peel or cut each individual sticker. Like if I'm doing stickers for handouts, which I like to do sometimes at vendor events, because then people can just come by for a sticker. And then it works better than business cards. But you might not be able to see it. Kind of, maybe. I'm trying to get the light in there. But cut looks good. I peeled back a corner. I'm happy with it. So next part is we got to cut the red. And this one I do have, because this is a STARCRAFT luster. I programmed a particular setting for it, which is something you're able to do. Because the previous cut settings that I was using with that premium vinyl permanent, or that premium setting with the permanent vinyl, is a little too rough. So I was actually able to go in, customize the actual pressure, and then save that as a specific setting. So it's loading it now. I should be able to just pew pew. And you know what? Now that I do have some, I think. I was thinking about it. I don't have any transfer tape. Like my rolls downstairs, I think. Oh, no, it's not. Meh. Okay. Okay, so still going to use this, but what I need is take all my pieces off. So best way to do this is I'll kind of start peeling, especially when I do this technique. I'll just peel up like a corner. And I thought I was going to use that second piece, but I didn't. And then I peeled up my 3 corners, and then basically what I do is not drop my transfer tape off. Is I try to keep the cut piece flat to the table and peel the mat off, essentially, or let the mat be the peeling motion. It'll save you, especially when you're using little pieces like this, from having those real curly, sometimes disasters, especially if you're in a pinch or you have like little time. You have to optimize the efficiency of your time. Okay, so we got those. Last piece is I want to operate that cut one more time for that acrylic, because we're going to put it on the back, but I want to use this pattern. Use my brayer, because then I can just easily just smooth it down once I have it lined up, and it pushes all that air out. It'll make sure that your material and your sheet is lined up nice and flat. It just makes it so simple. Okay. Going back to design space. Now I can just done. Group those. Usually I just group things so that I can just hide them all like with one click instead of clicking each layer. Because in this case, all I want is that custom cut of that tag, because that's the last thing I'm going to cut out of this pattern. So I'm just fixing it here on my canvas, letting it rip. And then for this pattern, with this one, I'm just going to use the premium vinyl permanent glossy cut for setting for it. I used that particular setting on this type of vinyl, so I know it's going to work. If it doesn't, I have plenty of scrap, so do your test cuts. it helps you familiarize with your machine. Like, even though, for example, I was doing stickers earlier, and the setting that was actually on the packaging and the setting that has worked for other people that tried the same sticker paper, they had tried it with the manufacturer recommended, and I tried it and I had kind of a different outcome that was a little bit more it's rough around the edges, actually, like, to literally. So I tried a different setting and just experimented and test cut that, and it seemed like it was a lot smoother, and I had the same machine as most of those people. So it's quite interesting to see those differences that can happen even within the same machine. So it's good to get to know it. So I got my corner peeled up, and then basically just going to peel the mat off, because then I'm not distorting or warping my material, which can also distort and warp your cuts, especially if you do HTV. So it's kind of just, it's not best practice is the best way to say it. And if you really want stellar quality of your, your vinyls or your cuts, or your HTVs, it's it's crafting. It's supposed to be stress-free. So just do things, and step by step. Rome wasn't built in a day. All right, so I'm going to cut. Helps sometimes when I can't see, especially with a pattern, your cut can kind of get lost. So it helps to have, like, I have this little ring light here just so I can actually point it down onto my workstation, or in this case, I can actually see where my cuts are at a lot quicker. So, see, back to the scrap bin with you. One thing I not like too about just doing a solid, clean shape cut, I can just weed it like that. One trick I do for when I have vinyl scraps, which I did not think it through. I don't have it with me. Any like baby wipes, moist towelette wipes, those plastic bins when they're empty, they make really good extra vinyl bins, or like trash vinyl bins. So mine's in the other room, and at this point we're too deep into this. I'm not gonna grab it. So I like those. They make good containers because they have those little plasticky kind of teeth there up at the top, so you can clean your tools off. Do lots of cool stuff. You can decorate them with some of the pretty throwaway vinyl. I mean, it's very helpful. And then when you're done, or when it gets full, I should say, you don't necessarily have to be done with it. You can just sprinkle it or crinkle it all up and throw it away. So this was the glass from the other day. I have a 7-Up and grenadine. I don't know if that's a Shirley. I think so. Shirley Temple. It's just not Sprite. But it's the lemon lime. All right. Last piece. And then we will assemble this. And I did grab, a ribbon. Okay. We're ready to rock. All right. So I have my offset. See, that's already weeded. And then my favorite tool to use when I weed on, honestly, it's the tool I probably use the most often, are my stab and grabs. When I have to do really complicated weaving, I really prefer my Caesar weeding tool, because look at that angle and that point. Oh yeah, there you go. So when you got it down, it just a little flick of the wrist, like you're a magician. Swish and flick. But then, yeah, it just pops right off. See, that took no time whatsoever. So if weeding is a chore for you, because sometimes it is for me, or I'm just not in the mood, then that's when I try to pick simpler designs, or I use it as an excuse to get better supplies. Because then it makes it a lot less tasking. So work smart, not hard is kind of like my personal philosophy sometimes, especially since I want to be able to craft more often. Another benefit to this guy too is when you have lettering, especially if it's really intricate, then you can slow peel with one hand. And then this is kind of like a little extra kind of like claw hook so that you can just keep some of those parts down that maybe didn't quite cleanly cut, but that way they're not going to tear. Sorry, I'm trying to focus on this and then I'll show you here in a sec. That way they're not going to tear as you're actually pulling your. So hopefully my dad doesn't see this on YouTube. Otherwise this secret's ruined, but he doesn't know what's in there. But I like my stab and grabs because I literally just like grab, pinch, and then done. So have my pieces. Now I just need to assemble it all together. I use the medium tack. I'll put links and descriptions and things like that so you guys can actually see the specifics of these products, where to get them. That way I'm just not talking your ears off totally. But all right, so first thing I'm going to do to layer this is, I know this is going to be the one side, and then I'm going to put my offset in the middle, and I'm just going to do it right on top of the backdrop because the gold's going to be layer 1, the offset's going to be essentially layer 2 for this, and then the wording will just go right smack dab in the middle. So I have 2 and 3. I like to do it this way on these because I can eyeball it faster usually. And when you're putting kind of 2 big pieces, you really want to make sure it's a nice hard flat surface that you're like pushing all those air bubbles out, and then it just looks nice and pristine. But the acrylics, if you work with any acrylic blanks, double check to make sure there isn't a film. Usually there is still going to be some sort of film or masking. I had a different, as an example, this is an acrylic piece, but it was masked on both sides. I took this side off. It's masked and just like a brown sticky paper. These are just easier to see, easier to take pictures of. This is also masked, but in this like opaque, like frosted paper, and sometimes can be more challenging. But I want to take the one side off because that's going to be the side we'll apply our vinyl to. Slow and steady wins the race here. Don't want to rip it straight off because, again, air bubbles, you want to make sure that that stays flat. And then to line this up, don't throw this away, I will put it back on the side that it peeled off of, the slick side, because now I kind of have a little guide. So it won't stick all the way. I can move it around, and then that way when I'm actually looking at it, I can actually see where it's going before I commit the entire sticker. Ooh. This will be a fun experiment because when the little trick I showed you with removing the background, taking the picture to get your custom shape, it's not always foolproof or perfect, but it works most of the time. So this will be fun to see how this turned out. But usually if you have like a flat, this is one of my favorite tools. Very favorite tool. A lot. It's basically the same. Hold on, I'm going for another. Oh, here it is. I couldn't find my tool bag. It's, basically like this, but it's got way cooler features. All right. So now that I have my piece lined up, and you'll see this isn't going to match up, but you know what? Crafting is happy accidents. And this will be a good example to show you that not every time to use that trick is it going to be like perfect, or if you don't you know, focus on taking the image that you're trying to replicate the shape of straight on, because angles will definitely distort, and that could create definitely some sizing issues. But it looks good. It still looks good. But let me peel this off, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's most important to go really, really slow. Sorry, I have a frog in my throat. When you're peeling off your transfer paper or transfer tape, when you've layered stuff like this, because if you peel it off too, you could still disrupt and add more air. So, but essentially, see how there's a little bit of clear space, but as long as you line it up, and that's why I like to use this trick, gives you much more success. So we'll add this last bit so that that side's done. We'll add our second side, and then we'll be done with this really cute gift tag. And then we can put it on our presents and move on to our next gift tags, which I will do off camera. But I appreciate you guys watching and hanging out and doing the support that you've been doing, because your insight, your advice, your support, your likes, I mean, I see it all. I'm paying attention. I see it. I love it. It keeps me going. It gives me good directions. So I love the community. I love the creativity. I love the inspiration in general of just crafters and makers and creators. But all right, we got one side done. So neat little effect. And see, with that brushed gold, like it really, sorry, I'm trying not to blind you, but it really gives it like a kind of cool, it's not just the metallic that draws in, and you have a cool texture with it. And then with that matte too, because since this is glossy, that metallic matte is kind of doing its own justice. But yep. So now my dad's gonna know that this is his gift tag. And so last piece, because essentially the back is just going to be, you're at the mercy of whatever the back of the actual material vinyl is. So we're going to remove the masking screen. That was so quick, from the other side. And then we can now apply our pattern. Now this is probably like as far as I thought about the pattern side. So I was thinking about what kinds of things would I like to do with it. I have some little mini like resin bows, like little present bows. Those would be kind of cute to glue on the top, even with maybe some UV resin or some hot glue or some super glue. Honestly, I think UV resin and super glue would be a better shot, a little bit more successful. But that would be really cute to kind of have as like a little pop or 3D effect on here. You could add another thing of vinyl. You could do something more like this, where you could do like a little shape or figurine with an offset. There are so many things that you could do with the backside of it. You could just leave it as is. So again, I used my original sheet it came off of, and then I'm just kind of lining it up. And I know that the back of this vinyl is white. So if there's any that does show through on the other side, it's just going to be white. I would rather have that with this vibe than the silver. Just for this look. I'm not saying silver and gold are things I avoid. I just, for this particular collection. The nice thing about this trick too is that when you do have something that kind of falls a little short, especially on something like this, as long as I line them up right with where the actual ribbon hole is, peel that off nice and slow, then they'll actually line up like almost perfect. So quick, easy gift tag, bada bing, bada boom. Now on the back side, this is the side I was saying you could leave it blank. You could make your own little extra offset. You could do lots of things. What I think I'm going to do is I think I have some plaid buttons that are more of a solid color. And I think I might glue some of those on there and make like a snowman. But stay tuned for the pictures and what I do with the other two. So thanks for hanging out. Thanks for bearing with me. Again, this is my first time. So constructive criticism. Tell me what you thought. Tell me what you'd like to see more of. It's been a long time since I've been in like the teaching role. So, and it's been a long time since I've got to teach something creative. So yeah, holler at me, and thanks for joining me. Thanks for hanging out with the Punny Pot and supporting the Punny Pot. I'm loving it. I'm loving the journey. I'm loving to see all your beautiful faces and to be here to inspire you. So yeah, thank you. I hope you guys have a great day, great night. Merry Craftmas, and stay tuned.